Welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth Liz Muschett, and today is the astrology forecast for December of 2025. And Justin Elzie is joining me today. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks for having me today. I'm excited to talk about the last month of this crazy year.
And it's gone by so quickly. It's
Yes.
amazing how fast it's zoomed by. Justin Crockett Elzie is an archetypal and Jyotish astrologer, teacher, author, and seer. His email address is justin.elzie@gmail.com. I'm an astrologer, author, and intuitive, and my website is alightpath.com. And we always enjoy hearing from you. And we're in the season of December. It's Sagittarius, a fire element, about adventure. It's a mutable modality, and mutable modalities are about finishing things up to make room to begin something new. The ruling planet of Sagittarius is Jupiter. The mantra is I seek. A couple of keywords are faith and truth and trust. And caution is sometimes our own version of the truth. It's maybe not the truth. Would you like to add anything, Justin?
Well, it's funny. I for those who may not know how we came up with fixed, mutable, or cardinal, I find it. This. Whenever I see something like this, mutable, it goes back to medieval astrology, where the reason they called it mutable is because it's a time of year when when we see a seasonal change. So it's not fixed. Like in November, the season is fixed. It's now we're in a mutable season. And of course, we know we got the winter solstice. So that's why it's mutable. It's because the weather will change, the seasons change. And that's why it's called mutable. So,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
And we have some favorable activities this month, and Justin's going to lead us through those.
Yeah, so one of the things I look at is what lunar mansions the sun is in this month, as in December, as it goes. It's currently in Sagittarius, of course, and then of course we'll near the end of the month, before Christmas, of course, move into Capricorn. But the lunar mansions that the sun is in this month are Anuradha, Jyestha, Mula, and Purva Ashadha. These are the Vedic or the Hindu or Jyotish astrology lunar mansions. And Anuradha is ruled by a deity, which is Mitra, which is about relationships. It's very good for relationships. Jyestha is ruled by Indra, the chief of the gods. So it's a time also of kind of taking charge of things. Mula is a nakshatra ruled by Nuriti, who is the goddess of dissolution. And of course, that's kind of what we're coming down to as we come down to the end of the year. And Purvashada is ruled by the Apas. It's really the more elemental, water elemental god there that comes into play. So this is a really good time of year based on these nakshatras. These are from the Jyotish system, some just a sort of a snapshot. There's a lot more, but this is just a snapshot of some favorable activities. So friendships is important because, of course, Mitra and Anuradha and group activities. And of course, this is the time of year when we do a lot of group activities and social events. Family matters because of Jyestha, and travel and research. Of course, that aligns right with the Sagittarius energy. Large scale planning. Of course, this isn't typically the time of year when we start planning anyway, as we look to the future with a new year from a Western approach. And also indoor planting. Indoor planting is a favorable activity this time of year based on the lunar mansions that the sun is in. So that's just a little quick snapshot of these 4 nakshatras that the sun will be in this month.
Thanks for sharing that with myself and the audience.
Yeah.
So we're going to go now to the chart for December 1st at midnight in Seattle. And the moon phase is the first quarter trine. And I think we had that last month too. So that sun is trine the moon. They're both in fire signs. The moon's at 18 degrees Aries, and the sun is at 9 degrees Sagittarius, and we have the ascendant at 13 degrees Virgo and 50 minutes, and the midheaven at 9 degrees Gemini and 45 minutes, and the ascendant and the midheaven are both ruled by Mercury. Would you like to add anything?
Well, I was going to talk a little bit about this, but do we talk about this on one of the other slides, this chart?
No.
So I do. Yes, I do want to say something about this. So I think, and I'd be curious what you think about this. This tells me that this is actually auspicious in a way. It's good. It's where we're starting out with a first quarter, and the moon's trining the sun. So there's this energy of getting things going for the month, right? It wants to get things going. Aries moon with that sun. However, Mars, as we can see down there at the bottom of the chart, is we can see that it's actually squaring the nodes, the lunar nodes, which means that there's some there's a tinge excuse me, there's a tinge sorry, there's a tension with taking action and where we're coming from and where we're going. And I think that this leads to a little delay. So I think this can be a little bit of a buildup in the first part of the month, with Mars squaring, of course, it'll square the nodes, then it'll square Saturn and then Neptune, which we'll talk about. But I think it kind of leads to some second guessing or tension with the actions we want to take. And so that's something that really kind of jumps out to me about this chart. What about you?
Well, I like that you pointed that out, because it could be, do we do it the same way we've done the holidays, or do we bring in something new? Do we let go of an old way and make room for a new way? It's like this tug of war, like you mentioned. So I really like that you said that. So that's what I'm going to comment, and I'm ready to go on to the next one if you are.
Yep.
So we're going to look at the Sabian symbols for the December 1st chart. The Sabian symbols were channeled in 1925 by spiritualist medium Elzie Wheeler, and they're a phrase that makes an image or a picture, and she had the assistance of Mark Edmund Jones to help her with that. So we're going to jump into the ascendant at 13 degrees Virgo. So we'll cover the degree before, the degree of, and the degree after. So Justin, can you start us off?
Sure. So Virgo 12, how we're stepping into this month, it says, after the wedding, the groom snatches the veil away from his bride. And this is the penetrating and unveiling power of the trained mind, which means unveiling.
And then Virgo 13, a powerful statesman overcomes a state of political hysteria, focusing on the collective need for order and structure, independence into a personage who incarnates the answer to the need. So there's a kind of a charisma around that.
And then Virgo 14, an aristocratic family tree, a deep reliance upon the ancestral roots of individual character, root power.
So how would you sum those three up?
Well, I was going to mention, I think it's really, again, positive that the ascendant as we start the month is Virgo, because I tend to find in people's charts that have ascendant in Virgo can be very grounded, very practical, very logical, rational. So I think this, and the fact that the nodes are right there, I think we step into the month very logical, rational. We have this unveiling, which is sort of really being able to kind of see through the chaos and what's really going on, and we focus on some need for order and structure in our life as we end the year out. And so that's what it's almost like we need we're stepping into the month to improve something, because it's Virgo.
And I like that root power of, to me, that symbolizes staying grounded and stable. Okay, we're going to go on to the midheaven at 9 Gemini. So leading up to it, Gemini 8, aroused strikers surround a factory. Disruptive power of the ambitious mind upon the organic wholeness of human relationship. And the key phrase is a revolt against privilege.
And then Gemini 9 is a quiver filled with arrows. Man's aggressive approach, aggressive relationship and approach to natural life as a basis for survival and conquest. And of course, the key word is conquest.
And then Gemini 10, an airplane performing a nosedive. A superior ability to challenge nature and play with danger, mind versus matter. So, how would you like to sum these ones up?
Well, knowing that the midheaven is sort of what we're ultimately trying to accomplish the month, I think this is it's going to be a lot of communications this month, of course, because of this. Might want to watch some of the conversations around the Christmas dinner table, but I think this is definitely a good month where we have some ability to learn something new. And I always like that mind versus matter. It's an energy that you can actually overcome anything if you put enough of your mind and thought into it.
Right. And I would say using that mind and matter and thought, it's not just a revolt for no cause, it's like for a certain purpose to
Yeah.
make changes in the world.
Yeah.
And then for the sun, we have 9 degrees Sagittarius. Can you lead us off, Justin?
Sure. Sagittarius 8, which is leading us into it, says, within the depths of the earth, new elements are being formed. It's the alchemical fire which both purifies and transforms the very substance of man's inner life, psychic gestation.
And then Sagittarius 9, a mother leads her small child step by step up a steep stairway. The need in social situations to assist the less evolved in their management of the problems which society requires its members to solve, social concern.
And then what we're moving towards, which is Sagittarius 10 degrees, a theatrical representation of a golden-haired goddess of opportunity. And the keynote here is society's efforts at dramatizing the greatness of what it offers to an ambitious person, forced growth.
And how would you like to sum this one up?
Well, I think the sun here is really giving us some insight in that we have this ability to purify and transform our life at this point, and that we need to, at the same time, always be aware of others and our social obligations, but that we are being challenged to go outside our comfort zones and are being forced to grow. That's where I kind of see these three.
Yes, I look forward to the growth phase, that's for sure. And then we have the moon at 18 degrees Aries, Aries 17, 2 dignified spinsters sitting in silence. The ability to transform the natural lack of potency into poise and inner serenity, inward withdrawal.
And Aries 18, an empty hammock stretched between two trees. It's the constructive alteration of activity and rest. And so its key phrase is living rhythmically.
And then Aries 19, the magic carpet or oriental imagery, the use of creative imagination, a strife transcending an unattacked outlook upon everyday reality, unattached
Yeah.
outlook on everyday reality. So how would you sum these ones up?
Well, this is interesting. I always love these degrees in the Aries because it's especially the living rhythmically and um, the magic carpet, and sort of taking that 30,000 view of everything, right? It's unattached. It's seeing everything from a different perspective, and I like this because the moon is saying, I think as we begin the month that it's important to kind of go inward. We need to keep a good balanced schedule between activity and rest, not a crazy disruptive life. It said, living rhythmically, getting our rest, working, getting our rest, but at the same time, look at things from an outsider's point of view and different perspective, that 30,000 view of strife, transcending an unattached outlook on everyday reality. So we, using our creative imagination and looking at things from a higher perspective.
Yeah, zoom out and take a big, wide perspective instead of zooming in and seeing a very narrow view. I like that.
Yeah.
So out of bounds this month, out of bounds planets are when the declination exceeds 23 degrees and 27 minutes north or south, and the moon will be out of bounds December 4th through the 8th and the 18th through the 22nd. Mercury will be out of bounds December 29th through January 15th. Venus will be out of bounds December 22nd through January 3rd. Mars has been out of bounds since November 28th through January 4th. Vesta has been out of bounds since November 11th through December 19th. And Hygeia went out of bounds June 12th of 25 and will remain out of bounds until February 17th of 26. So we have quite a few points going out of bounds. And so those
Yeah.
planets act on their own, not under the sun's direction, so to speak. Do you want to comment on the out of bounds at all?
Well, I don't know about you, but I think it's always important the inner planets here that are out of bounds. The moon, which is our emotions, our Mercury, which is our thinking, our communications, Venus is our desires, and Mars is how we're taking action. So there's a lot. We're really being pulled, and it seems like in some different directions here with these out of bounds planets acting a little bit out of the norm a little bit. So I think it's something just to be aware of, to how we're thinking and feeling and taking action.
Right, and be gentle with yourself and others if they're acting a little out of character. And then planets ingressing into new signs on December 11th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. On the 14th and 15th, or 15th, Mars moves into Capricorn. On the 21st, the Sun moves into Capricorn. And on the 24th, Venus moves into Capricorn. So a lot of Capricorn energy going to be happening.
Yeah. Well, right into the new year, we have a Sun Mars conjunction in Capricorn, which is really sort of totally the opposite of how we left last year. Last year, I guess, we had Mars retrograding as we were going into the new year, which meant that a lot of people were second guessing their direction for the new year, of course. But this year, it seems like we move into it with a lot of bang. Mars does.
And then planets stationing this month in, oh, let's see, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be December, and I forgot to change to November. So December 10th, Neptune will station direct. So that's the only planet moving direct or retrograde this month.
And again, I think, because Neptune represents the collective, this can mean we all feel like, okay, we're now we're turning a point, and we're moving forward now, as a collective.
Right. Okay, then we're going to start the beginning of the month. So December 1st through the 4th. On the 2nd, Venus is sextile Pluto. On the 4th, Gemini full moon. And Mercury will quincunx Chiron. So is there anything that jumps out at you with this chart? Because we will, on the next slide, go to the full moon.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me of this chart is the Mars conjunct Juno. So, Juno being the wife of Jupiter, representing relationships and marriage, right next to Mars here. That if I ever saw that in person's chart, I like, oh well, they love to take trips with with people and their best friends or their partners, and I think that bodes positively well for exploration and new relationships, but also travel this time of year with somebody special.
Okay, thank you for that. Did you want to make any other comment, or we can go on to the full moon
No,
chart?
I said let's go on.
Okay, so the full moon happens on December 4th at 13 degrees Gemini and 3 minutes. And Justin and I will be coming back in a few days to talk about this more deeply. But uh, that moon is opposite Sun, Venus, and Juno, square the nodes, trine Pallas Athena, quincunx Vesta, and sesquiquadrate Pluto. So, what would you like to, or what jumps out at you about this one?
Well, I always, it always, with a Gemini full moon, can be a little bit of a crazy town type of full moon. That it's air and fire energy. And in this respect, I would say, it's a good time for thinking and travel. This is that's sort of an air fire, which is really good for travel and communications.
Right, absolutely. And then the full moon is square the nodes. So we have the moon and sun opposite each other, and then those nodes opposite each other. So we have a mutable grand cross. So it's very likely that people will be feeling that they're kind of pulled in the four directions of maybe wanting to finish up some projects. And it's like not knowing what step to take next because you might have four steps or there's so many things, and it's like, just pick one and go with it, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say about this chart?
Well, I would just say again that Gemini moons, full moons, are when people act a little bit crazier. So this may be a little bit more crazy town this month with this full moon.
Okay. Lots of activity going on for sure, Gemini.
Yeah,
It's like communicate.
mental.
Mhm,
Yeah, mental. Yeah.
on high speed. Okay, December 5th through the 13th. On the 5th, we have Mars trine Chiron. On the 6th, Mercury trine Jupiter. On the 7th, Mars is quincunx Jupiter, and Mercury is trine Saturn. On the 8th, Mars is square Saturn. On the 10th, Neptune stations direct, and Mercury is opposite Uranus. On the 11th, Mercury is trine Neptune, and Mercury enters Sagittarius. And on the 13th, Mars is quincunx Uranus, and Mercury is sextile Pluto. So, what jumps out at you on this week?
Well, looking at, because I like mundane astrology and looking at the kind of how it's affecting the collective here, I think, of course, Mars here, squaring Saturn is definitely a typical, not a it can be a challenging thing, the two malefics squaring. So I think this brings in tension as far as people wanting to move forward with things. That means that there's going to be some delays or obstacles this month with what people are trying to do, and the fact that Mars is also quincunxing imbalanced with Uranus and imbalanced with Jupiter. So there's a tribal family thing going on there, and some resources uh, and resources. This is definitely a month to really, I think, as we plan out and we look towards the new year, it's definitely a time where even though Mars and Sag likes to take risks at time, possibly, this is a time to really pay attention to action we're taking this month in our lives when it comes to um, what we're wanting to accomplish. Don't kill yourself trying to get stuff done by the end of the year, but at the same time be realistic and don't take certain risks that because you're going to run into some obstacles or delays here a little bit.
Well, in this week, Mars is very active and so is Mercury. So, you know, both of them going to be in fire signs. It's like fire wants to move forward too, but there's lots of communication, kind of to go back with what you said about the Gemini full moon. And so, the communication and wanting to move forward, it's like maybe make sure you put in a little time for a break here and there, or just to catch your breath, or take a moment to have a cup of tea or something.
Yeah. And I'd like to say something too about the Mercury Uranus opposition, because they're both planets of communication. Uranus, of course, a higher vibration or frequency of communication. And I think that's a very powerful, whenever they aspect, it's very powerful. Um, and I think being in opposition here again is I'd be curious what you think about the opposition effect of this. For me, it means that um, we don't necessarily move forward with the ideas, but we change ideas, because Uranus is involved with Mercury. And so it's about looking at the other's point of view, or the opposite point of view, or looking at both sides, possibly. But our thinking is supposed to change here, because Uranus is engaging Mercury. What do you think?
Well, and I would say too that, like, if you were thinking that you had all the details for your project to launch it or to put it out, that maybe there's a surprise, and it could be for the better or the worse. It's not good or bad, but just that there could be a little surprise, and it could work out better, even possibly, because it's like you forgot that one thing, and then you could figure it out, so that when you do launch it or put it out there, it's a quick fix and it works just more smoothly than what you'd hope for.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Or have a team work on it together, because more mind can figure it out better.
Right. Well, and it's a, if I'm correct, that I see we have a grand trine there with Mercury and it looks to be Saturn or Neptune along with Jupiter. So definitely an easy flow of emotional energy this month, at the same time with that mental going on.
Absolutely. Yes, and we've had a water grand trine, moving through from time to time with, the personal planets and the sun and the moon. It's like it's kind of like something moves into that place card holder in Scorpio. It's like a planet's constantly moving in there, so it shifts what planet is at that point, but the Jupiter and the Saturn and Neptune have been holding that place for quite some time. So there's been that water grand trine, and it just kind of shifts a little bit with whatever planet is in Scorpio.
All right.
Okay, looking at December 14th through the 20th. On the 14th, we have Mars square Neptune, Sun trine Chiron, Sun quincunx Jupiter, and Mars enters Capricorn. On the 16th, we have Sun square Saturn. And then on the 18th, we have Venus trine Chiron, and Venus is quincunx Jupiter. On the 19th, we have Sun quincunx Uranus and a Sagittarius new moon. And on the 20th, Sun square Neptune and Venus square Saturn. So, anything jump out at you?
Yeah, well, so we were looking at Mars when was quincunxing Jupiter and Uranus, and right behind it comes the Sun, along with Venus there, quincunxing both those planets. And whenever, I don't know about you, but whenever I see a succession like that, um, of actors there, each playing a role in the same aspect, it makes me wake up and pay attention. And the fact that the sun will be, and the quincunx is in balance, so the sun that will be in balance with Uranus at the same time as Sagittarius new moon is, it makes me go, wow. That means that the moon will be engaged there as a part of that quincunx with Jupiter and Uranus, which means there's going to be some crazy emotions, um, and could be that with a new moon that people make a decision to take a new direction something within the family or with some finances because of that.
Right, because this focal point of where Mars was on the slide before, then it goes to Juno, Sun, and Venus. It's kind of like the same thing I was talking about, that water grand trine, that one point keeps changing characters or planets, as the saying may go.
Right.
You ready to go to the next one?
Sure.
So the Sagittarius new moon at 28 degrees and 24 minutes. And the moon aspects are conjunct the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Juno, square Saturn, Neptune, and Ceres, trine Chiron and Aries, quincunx Uranus, and opposite Hygeia. So what one would you like to talk about?
Well, I was going to say, what one do you want to talk about? Why don't you tell me first?
Okay, well, I'm going to say that big conjunction there with the Sun and Moon and Venus, Mars, and Juno, that's like pretty intense. It's like a lot of energy, those planets so close to each other. You know, Mars is action, Moon's our emotions, the Sun's the ego, Juno's relationship, and Venus is another relationship point too. So there's like this huge concentrated energy there in Sagittarius. So which one would you like
And
to
what do
talk?
you and what do you think that's going to create?
Well, on a positive way, it could be people are traveling more and, you know, maybe for the holidays they'll travel more because this is right around that time. Maybe they're seeking out truth more or new philosophies. Could be any number of those things. What would you say?
Well, and so I agree. I agree with everything you said. Definitely some more people needing to kind of go against the grain and be somewhat independent and do some travel. Definitely looks like a lot of people are going to be traveling based on all that, the Mars and Moon and Sun and Sagittarius there. Could also be a time when people move. A lot of people may be moving at the end of the year. I think the thing that jumps out to me about that is that opposition with Hygeia and Cancer. And of course, then it's also, I think it's quincunxing. I would say it's probably close to quincunxing Jupiter, um, are almost so that there is some paying attention to emotions in the course of this rush to do something. um, Paying attention to the family and to emotions and what's going on there.
And then with that conjunction of the Sun and Moon with the other planets, square to Saturn, Neptune, and Ceres, and Hygeia, it's like a T square there. So that's a lot of energy and a lot of players in the chart. So it's asking for, you know, a lot of adjustments to take place around this time, right around the winter solstice.
Right, right, definitely.
So you ready to move on?
Sure.
Okay, so December 21st through the 31st, we have Sun enters Capricorn, winter solstice. The 26th, Venus is quincunx Uranus. Then on the 23rd, Venus is square Neptune. And on the 24th, Venus enters Capricorn. On the 27th, Mercury is quincunx Jupiter and trine Chiron. On the 29th, Mercury is square Saturn. And on the 31st, Mercury is quincunx Uranus. So, what would you like to talk about in this slide?
Well, the fact that Mercury squares Saturn, um, I'd be curious what you think about this, but I mean, when I see that in a chart, Mercury squares Saturn is a person that will be slow to possibly express themselves because they're contemplating or going deeper or looking more serious at a situation. So they'll tend to hesitate, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. They tend to hesitate and go deeper and more serious about what they're saying. And the fact that Mercury for the collective here is squaring Saturn, and of course this is a fire water thing going on, and Mercury at the same time is at that point we were just talking about, which is quincunxing Jupiter and Uranus falling right in line there. This tells me there's tension. There's tension with our thinking as we get down to the end of the year. Like people are going to maybe take it a little bit more serious as a collective as we move into this next year. Like some serious thinking about what the way people are going to express themselves or where they're going to travel this coming year, because it's in Sagittarius and Pisces. So that really stands out to me. It means that there's going to be some, not how do I say, fluffy thinking. People are going to be really seriously taking a look at stuff as a collective as we move into the end of the year here. So that's really what kind of jumped out to me most here.
Right. And I like that quincunx with Jupiter and Uranus are pointing from Moon, Mars, Sun, Venus, Juno, and Mercury throughout the whole month. So it's like really shifting that, like we need to maybe look at our partnerships and our relationships and,
Right.
our actions and how we communicate. So it's really asking us, I think, individually to like kind of reevaluate ourselves in some respects. So maybe to become, a new person for the new year, perhaps.
Yeah, bring things back into equilibrium.
Absolutely. So any other closing thoughts or ideas that you want to share?
Oh, I think it's, overall, I think it's a positive, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that chart over this month. I think, one of the things I think it's a good thing about Sagittarius is it frees us up to be able to open our mind and look at the bigger picture. I think that's a positive thing about Sagittarius energy, and the fact that all of the planets, personal planets this month, are going to go through Sagittarius, Mercury, Venus, Moon, and Mars, I think is opens up new opportunities again, like you said, for travel. I think it's definitely a month where everybody should try to travel a little bit, and but also look at the bigger picture for the new year and be optimistic. That's another thing that's an indicator of Sagittarius and Gemini, because they're opposing signs, mutable, is that they're optimistic, and I think we can, try to look as we move into the new year with the glasses half full versus half empty.
I like that very much. So I would say at the end of our year is going to be kind of go, 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 but make sure you take a little time out here and there and, you know, expand and start working on your new visions and goals for the next year or dreams, whatever you'd like to grow. So, Justin, I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to thank our audience for joining us. And Justin and I are both consulting astrologers. We both have newsletters and we have some social here and both have YouTube channels. So we always enjoy you subscribing and liking and contacting us for consultations. And Justin, let you tell about your slide here.
Yeah, I'm a consulting astrologer. So if people are wanting an astrological consultation, they can get a hold of me through my email. Is the best way. And if you like to keep up with what's going on weekly and you're on the peninsula here in Washington State, I do write the weekly horoscope for the Port Townsend Leader newspaper, looking at what the next weeks are coming up. So, and check out my YouTube channel at Astrological Yogi.
Thank you. And is the Port Townsend Leader online that people can
Yes,
look
it is.
at?
It is
Okay.
online, but I think you have to subscribe to see this horoscope. So
Okay. It's worth it. It's
it's a
good.
$3 paper. It's a newspaper. It's yeah.
Okay. So there's a variety of other shows in the archives for your pleasure to watch. There's new upcoming shows weekly, 1 to 3 a week. We enjoy having you join us. Justin and I will be on Talk Cosmos, part of the archetypal symbols team, talking about the Sagittarius new moon, searching for truth. And then I want to thank our sponsor, Astro Peregrine Software, an astrology software for Mac and Windows. And you can find out more information on astroperegrine.com. And Justin, thanks again so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to
Thank
having
you.
you back very soon.
Okay, thanks, Liz.
And say goodbye to our audience, and we'll see you all next time. Bye for now.